Yo, what's going on with y'all, man? It's Major. We back with another video. Today we got a Dez Wright video. Now y'all been loving all the past Dez Wright videos I've made, so yeah, I'm gonna keep them coming. This sample is a little special because I use a couple of weird techniques with some effects. I used Dez Wright's actual analog lab bank, and of course, you know how to use Profit Gallery. So here we are on the FOP, and let's get straight to it. Alright, so here we are on the FOP, and as you can see at the end, I flipped the sample. So everything you're about to hear, it's completely different. It does not sound like the final sample, but I'll show you guys the whole flipping process at the end of it. But the first thing I started with was Analog Lab 5. I went in here into Dez Wright's bank, and I selected this Glocks and Handles preset, and I laid down these very basic chords. It's just one chord the whole time. That's literally it. I'm not gonna lie, this preset, I don't know what the hell Dez Wright's on. This preset was really fire. All I had to do was one basic chord. Now all I did for this chord is I had a very basic version. This is what I started with, and I took the C sharp up an octave, and then I wanted it to sound a little more dark and scary, so I just took the C sharp up to D, just to give it a little more tension. Now we move on to a little bit of sound design, because this original preset that I just showed you sounds nothing like this. Because I know you see it, bro, little Minecraft jump, hey, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, that's because I ran it through this pedal right here, which is a synthesizer pedal. Now, I don't even know what this pedal does too much. I literally started using it yesterday, but I ran that original Analog Lab that you heard through here, and I used one of these, I think it was the bass preset or the pad, but I used one of these, and I used this knob right here, which is the effect, the wet version, and then this bigger one is the dry knob. So I literally just turned the dry knob a little lower, so it's tucked in the background, and the wet one, which is a lot more saturated, and it's obviously mono. I have this running mono. I had this one a lot higher, so this one was standing out, and that's how I got this weird effect. And you're gonna see in this sample, I run a lot of things through this pedal. This is the reason why everything sounds a lot different and a lot more mono, saturated, vintage, whatever. Now, moving on from that, that's how I got this final recording. And it's basically the exact same thing, just like I said, with the pedal effect. Now, the only effect I put on the actual recording, just so it wasn't 100% mono, was this dual harmonizer. But I know I had this effect, and I had one of the presets that added a little bit of a wider delay. So it's just making it a little bit wider, so it's not 100% mono. After that, there's obviously no low end in this melody so far, so I want to add a bass. Classic Dez Wright bass, always using these really harsh, crunchy basses. So I went in here into his bundle, and I selected this one right here, and I have a pretty basic melody. So you can see it's a very basic melody. The only thing that's spicing it up a little bit and adding a really cool effect is these little glide notes. Now all you do is you go up here to the top left and you select this slide and you just click a note, and I just have it a lot shorter. The shorter it is, the faster the glide will be. So I have all these as little stabs, little short ones, and I just have them playing throughout the melody. I took this, copied it for the second half. I just want to add a lot more variety. You see it's basically the same notes. All I did is I added a separate version up here where it's just going down the scale. As far as effects, I have this, I know it says degrader, but I ended up taking that off and I put a decapitator on here. I love using this plugin on a lot of distorted synths and especially basses. And I have this roll off the highs preset, just kind of crunching it up. I have an EQ cutting out a lot of the highs because the highs were standing out a little too much. And I'm raising the lows a little bit, and I'm making it 81% more mono just to continue going with that vintage vibe that I already had with the whole sample. I didn't want it to sound too clean. Now, next is we have this really weird, fully distorted lead. Now, I do not know where the original sound came from. I know, I'm sorry, but this is what it sounds like. So that's just a little preview of the sound, and it's really just that the whole time. It's 1 to 2 notes playing, and I didn't really focus on the melody. I wanted to actually focus more on the texture and the design of the sound. Now here is the actual raw recording that I got from the sound into my pedal. Now I know it doesn't sound very nice at all, but that was the original crunched effect that I was going for. Now as far as the effects that I threw in FL to kind of normalize it, take out some of those harsh highs and kind of just smoothen it out, I first added a double tap delay inside of primal tap. Again, this is just a little effect, a little delay, just so it's not completely mono. And then I have a effect rack with a sample hold filter driver preset. Lastly, an EQ kind of just cleaning it up, and like I said earlier, taking out those harsh highs. Now you can tell it's blended a lot more and it's not as harsh and standing out. But that alone was pretty much it for the first section. Moving on to the second section, it was very simple. I copied the same bass over and I have this other lead. Now you can tell it's the exact same lead as the beginning one, it just has this weird like scratch effect in the beginning. Now the way I got this is I have the exact same effects on here except for the primal tap. What I did is instead of the double tap preset, I went to the previous one and I realized that every time I switched the preset, it added this cool little scratch effect. Here's how it sounds. So you can see when I'm switching from this preset to the double tap, it adds that cool effect. So what I did is I literally just opened up Edison, I hit record and I hit the play button, and then every couple beats I just continue switching back and forth through the presets. Very weird, like out of the ordinary technique to do to get a cool effect, but it was something I noticed and I liked, so I just recorded it, and then that's how I got this recording right here. Now after this, like I said, I had the bass. Now I wanted to have something a lot more catchy, like a main lead. So I went into Prophet Gallery. Y'all know I love using my own Prophet Gallery. I'm not even trying to, you know, like self promo. I just been using this kit so much. And I went to the bass and I saw that the key was B, so I went in here and I just typed in the key so I could see the phrases that would match easily, and I used this diamond camo one. Now this kit is made with the Prophet Rev 2, so it already captures that analog vintage vibe perfectly. I don't really have to add any processing afterwards. I just dragged it in. It's already tempo synced for you, as you can see right here, and I just dragged it in. The effects that I added was literally just EQ, cutting off some of those low ends, lowering a little bit of the highs, and I panned it a little bit to the left since this little lead, distorted lead, was panned to the right. So just to give them their own little pocket in the final sample. Now that fit perfectly. It gave a little break on the listener from the original section into a new section with a new interesting catchy sound, keeping the listener engaged in the sample. Now the rest of the sample was pretty simple. I just took the main elements you guys just saw me break down and just copied them over for the rest of the sample. Just little tweaks like changing the pitch, changing the tempo, reversing it, really just using the same elements over and over. So the first thing I added was that same original melody, this one right here. I just pitched it down an octave. And down here I have that weird textured lead playing still. The next section I have the original ARP that you just heard, except the original one, so straight out the Analog Lab. Now I forgot to mention for this, I did end up half timing it, so it's a lot slower than the original version. Now for the last two sections, I took the same ARP you guys heard throughout the whole sample, I chopped it up again, and I also have it half timed all the way to 400%, and I pitched it down an octave. So it's just a real dark gritty texture later in the back. I brought in the bass, the same lead. Lastly, the texture lead on top. And you can see I'm just kind of bringing back those original melodies just to layer on top. And then last but not least, I have the original ARP from the Analog Lab. This time it's not half timed, it's just the original version that's a lot faster. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much the main sample. That's all the sections. Now, last but not least, covering how I flipped it into the flipped version. All I did is I pitched it up 200 cents and I reversed it, and then I added a little intro. Now, instead of going straight into the main part, which is this, I had these two simple chops going back and forth, and then the final sample would come in. So that's pretty much how I flipped it, and that's how the final sample sounds like. But yeah, man, that was pretty much it. Hope you guys did enjoy and learn something new. Like I said, if you guys want the sounds or the phrase that I use in this video, Prophet Gallery will be the first link in the description down below. If you want to learn more about the kit, on here I show the instruments that I use to make this kit. It comes with Chroma Gallery as well, and if you go to the bottom, you can download the beta free version. With that being said, hope you guys did enjoy and learn something new. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss any more videos. I'll see you guys in the next video.